Abracadabra, create what you speak with iLan Azoulai. Hello, welcome to Abracadabra, create what you speak. I'm iLan Azoulai, a spiritual mentor and a sound therapist for you who are ready to map your experiences, understand your spiritual journey, and manifest your physical life. With me here is, of course, Gina Ann.
Hi, thank you.
Intuitive counselor and intuitive spiritual counselor and a children's author book. How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm good. That's great.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we have a really great, we have a good program, a very important message, important topic, and that picks up on the topic of bullying, actually,
And survival and thriving.
Exactly. So this is an empowerment program where we bring people from all walks of life that have their story to share and to empower others. Today we have a wonderful guest. She's from Israel. Her name is Tami Avigai. Tami Avigai is a survivor and a thriver, but a survivor from a cycle of sexual abuse from childhood and a cycle of prostitution and drugs in the southern part of Tel Aviv. And today she is empowered, she shifted, she is sharing her story to empower others and to empower women to get out, and not just women, because there are men also, and a lot of men and boys.
Children are children.
Children are children in the cycle of prostitution, to get out of it and to see how you can create your life all over again and even better than what it was before. So I want to bring in Tami. Hello, Tami.
Hi.
Tammy.
Hi, how are you? So wonderful to have you.
I'm very happy to be here. Live is very exciting.
Live, it is
What a
exciting.
great opening.
It is exciting, it's we are here really to share stories. We're here really to empower others and to help others, because as we know, our power is in our unity and when we come together rather than separation. And
You started off with excitement. Why is life exciting right now?
I said live is exciting, but life is exciting as well.
Live. She was talking about the
Live, okay.
Live.
Life, right?
Live is exciting because it's happening, right? It's now. It's
Yeah,
in the now. But
the now.
the now doesn't stay for long. It just stays for now. By the time we said now, it's gone already.
But then we're in now.
And it's gone.
And now.
Wait, let's catch it. Now. Gone.
And we're all in the now, which I love words, is one. When we're in the now, we win.
Exactly. When we're in the now, we win. So tell me, the way I met you is kind of, there is no coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. And I've seen your post and it touched my heart because of also the history of doing my documentary and working in that with a lot of women in prostitution and drugs, and also my personal story that is for a different time. But really your story. So please share with us who you are and what it is that you are here to do. And tell us a little bit about your story, because it's really fascinating.
Thank you. Well, my name is Tami Avigai. I'm 49 years old. I'm a mother to a 16-year-old beautiful boy, which came back to live with me after 10 years in foster care. He just arrived this week.
Wow,
Oh.
that's fascinating.
After 10 years in foster care.
10 years.
And,
Wow.
excuse me?
10 years you haven't seen him.
No. Oh, we've been in contact the whole 10 years. Very, very close contact all the time. But it's been 10 years that he's been in foster, and finally he's back with me now. There's just a few more bureaucracy.
Bureaucracies,
Bureaucracy,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it has to go to court in about a month, and then it's over with. But he already moved back in, so I'm very, very excited. And yeah, life is exciting, and it is better than it was before the prostitution and the drugs and the habits, and it is much better. Um, and yeah, I'm an incest survivor um, by my father. Started at the age of 3 until maybe about 5. I have some pictures of before I was 3, but it's kind of fuzzy, so I don't really go there. But the vivid memories of my childhood were at the age of 3, not understanding why this is happening, but understanding that what he's doing to me is not okay. I'm not sure exactly why, how a 3, 4-year-old knows, but I knew that
Yes.
what he was doing to me, he was supposed to do to my mom. And yeah, and just surviving all of this, growing up, many, many stations in life, I had to get out of. Um,
What strength did you pull from to get out of it? What clicked that said,
Yeah, what was
enough?
what was the shift? But that's what we're talking about later years. No,
Right.
we're not talking about when you were a child, because a child you're.
But that was a first shift. She realized there was an awareness there.
But that you see that thing that you're talking, the awareness. I went through the similar experience, but a different story, and I think that this is something that is built in us as human beings, that we know the right from wrong. We feel we have that compass, matzpen, this compass in us that gives us. That's why we're saying trust your intuition, right? When we're looking about intuition, we know the right from wrong. I don't believe that I mean, of course, we develop the intuition as we grow, but the innate of good and bad is in us. Do you think that?
I know of incest survivors that grew up not knowing that it wasn't okay.
Oh wow.
Because
Okay.
it was normal. It was part of their normal upbringing.
Okay.
But you had the
Exactly.
awareness. That's what I wanted to touch upon. Is
Yeah.
that from a very young age you had
You
this
had a.
intuition and this awareness. So that was building up your strength. And the more we heal, the more we get our intuition grows.
Right.
So I want to acknowledge your awareness at 3 years old.
There's something today. I lecture what I went through, and I talk about that. Um, I talk about the silent. I'm translating from English, from Hebrew to English, even though English is my. I was born. I learned English before I learned Hebrew, but still, I sometimes have to. So
Yeah, you were born in Vegas, right?
I talk about the silent language in my lecture, which I kind of educate about it because it took me many years to understand what happened to me and to understand what I knew and what happened between me and my father. I mean, besides the obvious, and how I got to where I got to. So I call it the silent language because how does a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, how does she know to be silent? He never told me to be quiet, right? But I knew that I had to be quiet. And this is the language that started developing between me and him without words, and something that I knew about myself. And I'm not sure if it's something energetically or I don't know exactly, but I knew at a very young age that I had to be quiet.
Hmm.
Without him telling me, I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. More than that, many, many, many years later, I understood that actually I took a part, a role, a very specific role in this world, and was to not exactly defend, but yeah, I guess you would call it defend actually, to defend the perpetrator. Because when I was very young, I knew that what I had to do for my father was to watch over him actually, to not have to deal with the fact that I know. And that is much bigger. See, that kind of makes it, it turns it into something else.
So
That usually incest is, it's just, there's like, let's say there's like 10,000 strings, right? And it makes a big mess, all these strings together. And throughout the years, I started understanding each string, what they mean, what they meant. Oh, this behavior, this means this, and this behavior, this means this. And it took me many years to understand that my father was the first male that I, defended. Not, I watched over him. He didn't have to deal with me knowing.
yeah, yeah. He was doing his thing, and you were just having this, oh, I have to protect my dad, I have to protect his name or his reputation or something like that.
Well, it wasn't really, doesn't really go into reputation when you're a 3 or 4 year old. You don't really go that far.
No,
But
but
I
that's what
knew,
he's thinking.
yeah. But my instinct was to take care of him, and I just kept doing that over and over again. Right? They say that, you know, when a boy or a girl goes through something like this, growing up, it's the quiet, the silent language. It's a language I learn to speak. I speak it with the world. I speak it with myself. I speak it in my head. It's without words, the silent language, right? It starts between me and my father, and then I continue it with the people that I meet in life, with how I deal with stress,
That's
with
right.
how I deal with relationships, with how I deal with life.
And we're jumping back and forth, and we'll get because this is so fascinating. Talking about relationships, did you notice the patterns in relationships? The
Oh yeah,
pattern.
the patterns, many, 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 many layers over layers over layers of all different sorts of patterns that, each pattern and each layer and each person is another string. And I had all different, I still do. I'm still post-traumatic. It's,
Of course.
I mean, I can live life today and be happy, and I can wake up in the morning and smile, and I don't need drugs, and I don't need prostitution, I don't need alcohol, and I don't need somebody to tell me what to do, which I did actually for quite a while, because that's what I believed that life was somebody telling me how to do things. But I still have more strings.
Yeah. This is you start asking something.
Yeah, I because I think that's a very not only marketable the silent language. I think it's very important because I do deal with a lot of children and teens and adults where incest had occurred, and it's like the same pattern. But I like how you defined it, the silence language. They just and there was sometimes there was manipulation and threats by the molester.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, the signs language. Now, when you mean by that, do you mean you stayed silent or you all this was going in your head and you didn't speak it until later? Do you feel
The
that's
si-
important to be silent or what's your method
Nobody told
with the
me to be
silent language?
silent. I knew that that's what I had to do
Expected.
in order to survive,
That's
I guess.
okay.
It took me, after many, many years, I found out through therapy that during the incest, I would stop breathing.
Mhm.
And when you stop breathing, you start separating from your body. And I guess that was a pattern as well. It was just a
Okay.
known pattern. I didn't know for many, many years that most of my life I lived outside of my body. Actually, the first time that, you have this, the three bodies, the physical, help me out, the mental, and
Spiritual,
the spiritual,
And
the
emotional.
Ruchani. Yeah.
mental, emotional.
So I never knew that I had three bodies, right? So I never knew that, about all these things. And I only knew about a couple of weeks ago. My therapist actually told me that the three came back together. And I asked him, when was the last time that I had three bodies in me? Tammy inside of Tammy's body, all together. And what he told me was the last time that it happened, that I was like this, like now, that all three are together, was when I was three,
So let me ask you this. So let
many,
me ask
many
you
years.
this. Wow. So seems like, you know, you you shared with me, and maybe you can share that later years you talked with your dad, and or right, and things kind of, at least on his side, he talked about this, but then he started acting in, showing a lot of affection, or in words at least, right?
You mean that when I confronted him?
Yes, yes. And then remember what we talked about, and this is what I wanted to ask you, that when you revealed that, when it was revealed and up in the open and released, at least from maybe from his side, is if he went back to the time before he started perpetrating. So the question I have to you is, now that you feel aligned, do you feel that you are going back to the moment before you were molested, as if like going back to your inner child, going back to your
Oh yeah.
livelihood of being a child again, or livelihood of somebody who is excited about life?
There's so many layers also to that, and I just want people to understand, because I'm not sure that people understand. Yeah, I I haven't spoken to my father in 25 years, and then I decided to quit psychiatric drugs. Actually, in one day I quit 7 pills.
Okay.
Um, I don't recommend that to anybody.
Yeah,
And
we
then
will get to that, because this is a really pivotal point in your healing now, in the second part of your healing. But I want to
yeah, but
go ahead.
I just I need to how do you say it in Hebrew, in English? I want to get to that point so that the audience would understand, because I'm not sure they do understand that. Yeah, it was many many years that I haven't spoken to my father, and then when I did, after 25 years, I called him, and I actually told him, ask you to forgive yourself. And where does this come from, right? And it was just a whole thing of me when I got off the psychiatric drugs. I had these things that I had to do. I'm not sure about the word in English.
You can say
Dachaf,
it in Hebrew, and then I can say it back. Huh?
dachaf, dachaf.
You had the urge.
I got these urges. So after 25 years that I haven't spoken or seen my father, I had an urge. I believe an urge is something that the soul wants more than the ego. Because I didn't understand why I suddenly I didn't really get it at the moment, but I just knew I had to call my father. And I called him, and I told him, I forgive you for what you did. Now you forgive yourself. And this kind of opened a door for him to, he started calling me almost every day, sometimes a few times a day. And I didn't understand what he was doing. It was like he forgot all about this. It's like, where did everything that you did to me and all these years that went by that you didn't help me, where did they go? And he starts calling me and talking to me like yeah, like I was three again, or four, or
Wow.
like a kid.
So I understand, so that I can understand, the audience can understand, was there an admission from him or denial? Did you get that admission,
I didn't get
accountability?
what I wanted. He he kept calling and calling, and I felt like the monster. That's the name of the my lecture, the monster in the room. I felt like the monster was in the room again. And I'm 48. This was a year ago. I'm 48 years old, and he's calling me. He called me one day 12 times in one day. Out of that, it was four of them was at 3:30 at night, 3:30 in the morning, and it was just like that. It was like I held my head like, how did this happen? I feel like I'm a little kid again with the monster in the room, right?
Wow. Did you
And
ask him? Did you ask him like, why are you calling me so many times?
no, I just had to put a stop to it, and then I wrote him a long letter letting him know about the prostitution. He never knew about the prostitution. He never knew the levels and the layers of everything I went through. He knew that I was into drugs, and he knew that my son was taken from me. He knew a lot of things, but it didn't really come from my heart. I never really wrote. So I wrote down everything that I wanted to write, and I sent it to him. And I told him my forgiveness doesn't go anywhere, but if you want contact with me or with my son, you're going to have to acknowledge what you
Okay, so he
did.
didn't have accountability. It seems like he didn't have accountability, but he was trying to erase that part and start a relationship again. Okay,
Something like
that's
that.
right. So did that give you peace? A little bit of peace?
Do
No,
you
not
need it?
really.
Did you need his confirmation to
Yeah.
know what happened? To be
His
in peace with
accountability.
yourself? I mean,
I had, later on, I understood why it was so important for me to do that. Like I said, that was my soul choosing to do something. I was very, very urgent. I needed to talk to my dad. And I didn't have much time. I didn't know it at the time. And I gave him time. I asked him, I said, there's nothing that you can really do to change my past, but you can make my future, me and my son's future, better and easier. And for the first time, I asked him for money. I knew my father was very, very rich for many, many years. I don't think he was before his death, but I didn't know. I don't know if I said that my father's not alive now. But that's why it was urgent, because I guess my soul knew that his soul was, this is coming to an end, and I have to do this really, really quickly. And it was kind of like I really wanted him to do something else, but it was a little bit too late, I guess. He was very, very old, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't give me what I wanted. I wanted him to see what I needed. I wanted him to see all the years that I couldn't pay for education. I don't have a car. I don't have the money. I don't have a house. I don't have education. I don't have what a lot of people at a certain age have. And I have to do everything by myself. So I wanted him to be a part of my future, and yeah, and acknowledge and say, yeah, I did this. I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do to help you? And it just
so
didn't happen. He died about
yeah.
he he went into a hospice about 2 weeks later, and then died 2 weeks later after that.
So it's important to say that because I know that you and I talked about this. He went into hospice 2 weeks after your confrontation with him,
Yeah,
right? And 2 weeks
yeah.
after that, he died. So
It's
it,
more or less, yeah.
yeah. It feels like as if, although he didn't admit, and I can also talk from personal experience, also from professional experience, that just by the soul knowing of his soul knowing of this, of what happened, that and you confronted him, as if there was something that was released.
Yeah, it was released. That I
Closure.
know that
Closure.
Closure.
I know that there was,
His journey is over, so to speak.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, there's also layers to that. I mean,
of
he
course.
could have done a little bit. He could
There's
have done a
there's a
little bit better. He could have
there's a
left me
question that I
something.
think everybody would be interested in, and this is from when I deal with um, survivors of incest. Where was your mom in all this, and how did that affect you in female relationships?
When I was about 4, I had an urge. And like I said, this is something that my soul, because, my ego would not choose to go and tell my mom, because the words were too hard to come out. I was very, very embarrassed.
Mm.
But the urge was stronger than me, and I knew that I had to do this. So I told my mom what my father was doing to me.
What
And
age?
4.
Four.
four,
I just want to repeat that so they can hear.
four,
Okay.
yeah, she couldn't be there. All I remember is knowing that my mom was in a bubble. That's all I remember.
Okay.
I knew that she couldn't be there for me. I understood it in a way, but it put me into shock. And
Is she still with us?
yeah, my
And
mom,
and and did later on years, I mean, did you ever talk with her about that? Or about
yeah,
talking with your dad about that?
I talked with my mom about it because when I was 16, I tried to commit suicide, and they put me in this institution, hospital for kids. And she wanted to find out what happened to her daughter, and she found something that I wrote, and that's when it hit her. And when I was 16, she could deal with it, and then she divorced my father.
Okay. That's
So,
historical.
oh wow, there was like a oof,
Yeah,
like
see, I
a,
got
and
chills
then all over.
because I kept feeling your mom in it because I feel she just went into denial and that was her survival. I'm not condoning it.
It was her survival. My mom was abused as well.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know how many times. I don't know if it happened even more than once, but it was with somebody close to her as well. And she reacted. Most of what happened to people, a lot of our lives are reactions to something else.
Mhm.
And sometimes it takes many, many years in order for us to stop reacting and to start just living.
And
Creating.
And
stop repeating the patterns. So you have
That's
stopped
right.
that, especially when you became a mother. Yes?
there were certain things that I did repeat
Hmm.
because I could not hold on to. I did try everything that I could to help myself. Um, I went to these institutions to get help, but the institutions didn't help me much.
Mm.
Basically, basically, when I understood that nothing helped, and that it took me quite a while, right? Like 48. When I was 48, I quit the. About 3.5 years ago, I got out of prostitution and drugs, alcohol. That was a big, big deal for me.
What age did you go in? What
It
age did you
wasn't.
get involved?
Okay.
Well, I'll just finish my last sentence. But that wasn't enough, right? Because you can leave this world of prostitution and violence and all that stuff, but there's something that's not good inside. There's no love. So I didn't practice self-love for, it took me another couple of years to really, really understand that, and to really, really do something else. And that was only after I quit the psychiatric drugs, because that kind of cleared everything. And then I learned how to start really loving myself. And the prostitution, the first time I heard that prostitution starts when you're a kid, um, was in one of these institutions that I was,
Mhm.
and it hit me like a brick wall, but it really kind of spoke to me because it doesn't start. Um, it doesn't start. Usually, it starts when you're a teen, but it didn't even, like, physically. It didn't really start until later. But as a child, like I said, I learned things. I learned, this is what I learned at home: how to take care of the perpetrator, how to put him in first place, and to take care of his needs.
Yeah,
I never
that's
knew how to take care of my needs. So that started at childhood when I was what I was when I was 9 years old. I found myself in a sexual moment with a kid in class. When I was 11, the same thing. And they weren't, well, the kid was not a perpetrator, he was just a kid, right? But still, there was something about that, the silent language.
Well, the
by
kid
myself.
himself, the kid himself probably went through some kind of sexual abuse of some kind because he was in a similar position, but on the other side. He may not know what was going
No
on.
idea. I
You know,
have,
we meet through our wounds. You know, we meet through our wounds. We
I know.
recognize the wounds in the other person.
Yeah.
I want to just to whoever is watching, you're watching Abracadabra, create what you speak. And our guest today is Tami Avigai, and she's a survivor of incest in childhood and prostitution and drugs later on throughout the years. And after 10 years of not seeing her son, who was in foster care, this week her son came back to live with her, and Tammi is just thriving. And one of the things that we're going to talk about of how did she, what other tools helped her to come out, and how did they manifest? It was through her art. And
Yeah.
you do beautiful art. I saw some of the art that you're doing, and I want to share some of what I've noticed, what I've seen that you're doing. Really beautiful. I want to show this first. Oh, we have to wait. Hold on.
Actually, I have a better idea.
Oh, you have a better idea.
Oh,
Oh, there you go.
that's beautiful.
That's so. What is that? That's
This,
that's a
the
soap
lighting,
thing.
I'm sorry about the lighting. This is a soap holder.
Yeah, it's a soap thing. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And this would be a plate.
Lovely.
Oh wow,
That's
nice.
beautiful.
And you have those earrings that you had.
Yeah, I kind of stopped doing earrings. This is a hamsa.
Look, I'm like, where do I get it?
Oh, this is a hamsa, kind of like a hamsa thing.
Yeah, and I have
Right?
all kinds of
Yeah, the 5 hand.
soap holders, and I'm making all this is a soap holder. I don't know how it's seen.
No, it looks
No, that's
beautiful.
beautiful. I want to
Yeah, I
talk to you.
without my glasses, so
I want
I
to talk to
kind
you
of
about
stopped
one
making
piece.
myself.
Tommy, I want to talk to you about one piece that
Yeah.
I put it in the flyer as well. I don't know if I can see it here very well. No, but in the flyer
Oh,
of the show, okay, you have a necklace of a heart, right?
Ah, yeah.
All right. Now the necklace of a heart is tied from both ends, and the shape of it. Did you do the shape of it consciously, or do you want me to tell you what shape it is that you did?
Oh, I don't know. I just did a heart. I don't know.
Yes,
Tell
but
me.
the necklace with the necklace is the shape of the Dead Sea.
Oh, really?
Almost, except for the little
Mhm.
squiggly at the end, it looks like the Dead Sea. And that
Wow.
was, when I saw that, it struck me so strong to see, wow, the Dead Sea. And in the Dead Sea, many times of previous years, scientists thought that the Dead Sea is really dead, only to discover, let's see, that the Dead Sea is very alive because there are all kind of living organism in the Dead Sea. So within death, you were still alive, and that's what kind of kept you. We talked about this, like how you would come out of how you came out of the situation, knowing that you have something else coming, something beyond this. So it was interesting to see the Dead Sea kind of symbol on
Mm.
that
It's a
on
beautiful
that
piece.
That's beautiful. I like that.
on that heart piece. So
Yeah.
your art, to come back to believe in your art and to believe in you as an artist, you have to go through a lot of shifts and a lot of changes.
Yeah.
When did you start with the art? And if you left it and then came back to it, what are the periods? Or did you just recognize it later on in later years?
I know that the first 7 years of life are what is dictate. Is that, I don't know if that's the right
Dictating,
word.
yeah, it kind of shapes your life, kind of shapes your.
Dictates who you are as a human. And there were a few things that shaped me into who I became. Some of the things were like the prostitution, but the art was my mom. She gave me this piece of clay that she made herself. Um, I don't know even if she really understood what she did for me
Art
that
therapy.
day.
Art
But she
therapy,
Art
yeah,
therapy is
you're
the
right.
best. One of the
The
best.
best. Like music
Yeah,
therapy, art therapy.
she gave me this piece of clay that she made out of kemach. How do you say kemach?
Flour. Made
Out
a
of
piece of clay that she
flour
made out of
and
flour.
salt.
Maze?
Yeah, flour and salt and water. She
And
made this
water.
like,
What we used to make like
In
glue, you
school.
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. It was great. It was a thing in the States. And she gave me these, the colors that you put in food coloring,
Food coloring, yeah.
the basics. She gave me the blue and the red and the yellow. I remember it. I was very, very, very young. Maybe I was 4 years old. And I just remember, I don't know why I have a picture of the yellow sinking into the like it became like even a little bit dry.
You don't know
The
why?
color.
You are yellow. You're all
Because that's your
childlike,
that's your
life.
empowerment.
Like,
That's where you're
Yeah,
yellow in your alignment.
yeah.
Yellow's
So
in your solar plex.
the solar plex, I have a lot. Me and the solar plex have a whole story.
oh,
Yeah, I can
love
feel it.
story, love story. Yeah, that's it.
The
Exactly.
color go into the clay, and it just did something to me, emotionally, physically. It did it for me. I never knew. It took me many, many years to understand that, probably unconsciously, I found something that cured me, which was the art. I read somewhere that it does something to the alpha waves or something like that, kind of like music,
Yes.
kind of like sports. And
Yeah.
I just kept seeing the color, and it just, it does something, it makes you happy. You start using your imagination, and I guess I had a lot of that.
Still have.
And you build something in your head, and you have this whole
Yeah.
conversation, the silent language. It's between me and the art, and then you one day and then suddenly you see it in front of you, and
Yeah.
it makes you happy. And I just kept doing that again and again and again. And I guess that something that I wasn't even conscious, that it kept me alive. There were a few things that kept me alive. I believe that I was one of it. And I believe that when my mom saw, I made this shark, and when my mom saw this blue shark with all these little tiny teeth, she put it up on the window. And I believe that that moment defined me as an artist till today.
Valued you.
Ah,
It
wow.
brought you value. That was your inner child and you reconnecting. So when you said you got into self-care, I love self-care is such an overused word, but it's an important one. I think it's important that, and I feel this happened to you, we use self-care as a springboard for self-connection, and you became self-connected with you and your inner child and all the layers of you. So that's really beautiful and
This is
very
wonderful.
important. And, it's like you had these little epiphanies. And I know you said the institutions didn't work, but that was a stepping stone too, because it was a check mark off.
Yeah,
That doesn't work. And so I'm going to the next one.
Yeah.
And that's your survival. You never gave up on you.
right.
Never gave
Exactly.
up on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even though, some people think like, you'll see like a prostitute, very loud, dirty in the street, making a mess of herself. That was me. Um, I believe that I needed to be that for a while, so that I won't go from here. I had to be,
Wow.
just I needed the drugs. I needed this thing so that I don't go out. I never really wanted, even when I was 16, when I committed suicide, I didn't really want to die when I was 16. I just wanted something else to happen. And something did happen. They took me from this place and they put me in this other place. And then I just got more medicine. And that
Yeah.
kind of put me more to sleep. And I needed that. And then I needed the drugs. And I needed this whole thing until I was 48, when I could like step out of all of this and be all of me inside of my body, which was very, very painful. Very, very painful. It was so painful that it was like when you stop psychiatric drugs, you you feel everything. You feel everything that you put away since
Oh,
you started
until you're
taking.
3. Yes.
Yeah.
So
That
Yes.
nearly killed me. That
you,
nearly killed me. I did it. I would never advise somebody to go off of psychiatric drugs like the way I did it, but that was something that I chose to do. I don't regret it because it just happened really a lot faster. this is something that could have taken many, many years, and it took me about a year and a half. Right now, my brain went through a whole
So
construction,
you're in a whole different dimension,
all different. I mean, it was like
right?
I'm suddenly in a different reality. That's kind of what
Different, yeah,
happened.
a whole different. I
Yeah,
want to. I want. We talked about this also, but I want to bring people into this. The thing about you're right about the psychiatric medication. Whoever is watching it, I mean, this is really an inspirational story. But definitely do not attempt that. There's no recommendation here to attempt that. This is just a sharing of
Your story.
Tami's story. And what
yeah,
happened with these medications, what they're doing, they are clouding your
yeah,
ability to connect spiritually. The
yeah.
clouding, the pineal gland is being calcified. It's just, it's clouds everything. So
And
by
I
you
can
take,
feel all of that.
yes, yes. So by
I
you,
can feel all of that. I feel everything. I didn't understand what I was
uh-huh.
feeling. It took me a while. I'm like, what the hell is this? And yeah, it's a whole new world. I sometimes I laugh about people. You think that you're in the how do you call it,
You
autostrada.
think that you are on the highway, but they are actually in the box, and you are.
Yeah, it's a whole new autostrada. You know, it's instead of cars going like this, it's just energies, I'm like, what the and I started feeling everything, and it scared me at first, and I felt everything was almost too much for it was like everything I couldn't feel for all these years, and I it nearly killed me actually. I lost a lot of weight, and I just had to come back. I just kind of like I lost everything, and then I started building over that with a lot of love and self care. It was like somebody cutting off your right arm. This is me, right? Somebody cutting off my right arm, and I'm all screaming out here, right? Like the bones, the blood. You're like, I'm screaming, hey, my arm, and it's like, no, Tammy, you have another arm. And I can't look at the other arm, right? Because this is in pain, but I had to, because if I would keep feeling all of this pain and seeing the blood and the veins and the bones and all whatever was there, right?
Wow.
I
Well, you
would
had to
not
crack open.
survive. I would not survive. I had to force myself, and that's the love, right? I had to force myself. I had to talk to myself different. The silent language I learned when I was a child, but I continued it for many, many years. You're stupid, you're a prostitute, there's nothing good about you. Every time I got clean, don't enjoy this that much.
It's
It's
not going to
gonna be
last. Oh,
never
it's
get
gonna,
your son back.
yeah.
I talked like that to myself for so many years. I had to stop.
It's like we did some sound work, you and I, right? And and but one of the things you remember we talked about the famous water experiment by Dr. Masuro Emoto, the Japanese professor, where he put two groups of water and talked to one group very nice with positive words and music and everything and empowerment, and the other group was just nasty, negative talk and all discouraging words and trash music. And they froze them, and the first group became beautifully shaped geometrical shapes, and the other one was just brown splat, right? And so when we are like 90% water, and we talk to ourselves the way that we talk to
Right?
ourselves, when we judge ourselves, we are creating this cacophony in our body. And then our
Yeah.
body responds back to the cacophony, and the cycle and the cycle and the cycle.
It's like,
You shared about your experience that you were thrown on the street, and you were going to drugs, and it's close to me in a certain way because um, when I start filming my documentary in that lower underbelly part of Tel Aviv, really. It's the underbelly of Israel. It's the place where Israel don't want anybody to know about, that area, that underbelly. There are everything. It's like a melting pot of everything that people don't want to deal with. Let's put it all there. It's like almost like a boydom, but an under.
very scary place.
Yeah, and I've seen and 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 I've seen many women, many of them, some of them are not alive anymore. That I, but what I've seen is that each one of them, and this is what I realized what was happening before I got to that area. You wouldn't see them. They would be like air. People don't see them.
Don't see
And
them.
and the most important thing that people wanted, women, especially women in prostitution, who were on the streets and were drugged out, and just like, what they wanted is that somebody talks to them on eye level, that somebody sees them, somebody acknowledges them. Is this something that you wanted somebody to see you, or you just wanted to be out of the world? You wanted somebody to talk to you and to see you, Tommy, not a drug addict or not a woman in prostitution. Did you feel that? Did you feel also like, I want to be seen? Hello.
Until today, I want to be seen. I want to be
That's why
heard.
I
Until
didn't.
this day, and yeah, there are things that kind of, since I quit the psychiatric drugs, there's a lot of parts of me are frustrating because I kind of did go back to the age of 3 in many ways. My brain, I'm still dealing with
Before the trauma started,
yeah,
you
there's
went
a
back
lot.
to the king, to the golden way, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are frustrating, and there's a lot of things that are fun because um, the frustrating is maybe just not. Um, it's kind of like I have to learn how to do things all over again without the
Wow.
without the pills. I never knew that I had a how do you say keshev rikuz?
ADHD,
I
ADD.
never had any of that stuff, and suddenly I can't. Yeah, I can't, I can't do things that are like kids play. Just suddenly I need a help because the whole construction of my brain has changed.
But
And
you're
then
very
there are
playful.
other things,
But we are very playful these days. I mean, also when we talk, also when I talk with you, you're very playful. You're very, woo, you know? It's
but
like
I was
going back to
always,
that
I
age,
was
to
kind
that
of,
stage.
even when I was in prostitution, to tell you the truth, there was always like this part of me that was like a kid. I mean,
Wow.
but today, um, yeah, I just, I can um, I can enjoy things more than I did. That's for sure.
You know, we're, you know what? Believe it or not, we're nearing the end. Do you want to ask her something else before I want to?
Sure. Well, I think it's so important to recognize that, when we go through these traumas and we all want to be valued and loved, doesn't matter
Yeah, it's
what
in
our
our
story is, it's
DNA.
just
It's in
different
our DNA.
characters, and trauma is trauma. And I know we threw out a lot of labels, and I was a special education teacher for 18 years and dealt with all sorts. So we have PTSD, we do have ADHD, all these labels, but it's really just an injury. It's not an illness. And so when you say you can't focus, you can. You're just going back to that child and then you rebirthed yourself. So just want to acknowledge you of your strength and your rebirthing every time because you've had to rebirth yourself many times. And I just want to, I'm feeling your son. I could just read energy and I can feel your son. And, you know, there's an admiration in him and he has a lot of learning, and you and he together will change the DNA, and he will not go through. Oh, see, I'm getting emotional because I can feel your son. And then when he starts his family, it's the chain. See, I got chills. The chain is broken, and you made the chain break.
You did.
Okay,
You
I
broke
you
know
the
that.
cycle.
and
You
you're
broke the
and you're
cycle.
sharing this with everyone to teach them that you can. You did
Yeah.
it from within. There was something from you within. Just the moment out of the block, you said at 3, I knew there was something that your awareness was on point.
Yeah.
And you still that, and you've healed and your intuition. You know why when you go, you say you scatter and all. Okay, we can say it's ADHD. It's because your intuition is flying off the handle, and now you want to do all the things you couldn't do. It's like I don't want to just go
Oh,
on the
do you want to
slide.
catch up? You want to catch
Yeah,
up?
I
You
want to go
want
on
to
the
catch up?
swing. I want to go on the slide. I want
Yeah.
to jump up and down. So it's been a pleasure to hear you, see you, feel you. I
Yeah.
feel your son. He's so lovely,
He
and
is a beautiful,
you've
beautiful,
inspired me
beautiful.
through this because we all can learn from one another. I feel this show is a place that not only are we giving you a healing, you're giving us a healing, and you're giving
Absolutely,
everyone else. So
absolutely.
thank you.
You're so encouraging, Tommy. So when I read her post, it hit me on many levels. It hit me also on personal level because I went also through sexual abuse, trauma, all these kind of things and different stories, and because of the women that I've been working with for many years, for like 5 or 6 years in that area, and I just want to thank you really because you are a, you are a voice of empowerment, especially for women, especially for women that don't come from an unhealed place. You're coming from a place of healing. You understand that things have to be worked together. I think we talked about this. It's not about, oh, we are women here to teach men to be okay. No, it is a cohesive process. You're going through this because you know what? Everybody, in a way, is a victim. It's not, or was a victim. It's not an excuse of something, but it is something to recognize that we all go through wounds, even the perpetrators. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're all a product. I don't
so
know
we're
if a victim, product of
a
trauma.
product of trauma. You know, we all go through trauma. We're going through birth. We're already traumatic through the birth, even before the birth. Think about a surrogate
Yeah.
mother, what the baby is going through in the tummy, right? So I want to thank you really for the encouragement and the empowerment and to see
I just
how
want to
you've
say
worked
one thing
hard.
about the, can I, do we
Say
have
again?
another? I just want to say one thing about the forgiveness thing.
And I'm going, yeah, please.
Yeah, it's important for me to express this because I don't think that I wouldn't say that somebody has to forgive somebody in his life. It's something that came to me, I guess, at a certain point because I guess that's what I had to do to be able to go on with life. Because what happened to me, it's yeah, it's okay, it's forgiving my father, but that's not the thing. It's forgiving myself and doing this, forgiving actually a human being that never really did that much in order to get my forgiveness and still forgiving it kind of opened up energetically. It opened up room for my son to come into my life,
Mm,
That's
for
right.
the lectures to come into my life, for a new life to come into my life, all this new stuff
Yeah, you're not
that
condoning
I
the
had to
act. You're
go
just
through.
forgiving so you can go on and free yourself from it, that you
Exactly.
are not the
exactly.
incest.
Exactly.
You are not the incest.
Yeah. You know, it's yes, it is forgiving yourself, and that's why I ask you. Does it? I mean, it didn't really matter what your dad would say, really, right? It didn't really matter if your dad. I mean, you want to hear his acknowledgement. But does it really matter if he acknowledges it or not? When you do the forgiveness, when you are offering the forgiveness, you are clearing that path. I
Exactly.
remember, yeah, I remember the same thing in my story. The
It's
perpetrator
for me.
just
It's
just
for
try,
me.
start drinking a bunch of water because the perpetrator was nervous. I didn't need to hear yes, no. Same thing with you. You just needed to open it up and open yourself to God and the universe to bless you, to continue and bless you.
Just want to say one more thing because where can people get your art?
So yeah, so this is the next
Yeah.
thing. So this is the next thing. Your Facebook. I'm going to put your people can go to your
Yeah, people
Facebook
can
here.
write me. I have
This is
on my flyer. There's there's my number. There's my mail.
yep.
I'm still kind of new in technology, and like I said, it's really kind of difficult for me to get to finish this. But I'm still kind of constructing everything that has to do with the technology part. That's internet shop. All that stuff is gonna be coming soon. In the
Great.
meantime, I have a mail. I have photos of my work, and anybody can contact me through Facebook as well.
So I put your Facebook address. I don't know if you can see it still, if you can see it, but I put your Facebook address, which is it's written to the audience who's watching, and it's right there, so you can reach Tammy, and
Yeah.
her phone number is there, and I want to thank you.
I would love to lecture about my life. And I believe that I'm a voice, not only of myself, of many people. And I would really love to lecture anywhere around the world,
That's wonderful.
anywhere who would like to hear me share. And that's me inviting myself outside of
Absolutely.
Israel to
You're
anywhere.
you're opening, it's like this guy that asked God to win the lottery, and God told the angels, well, it's okay, but he needs to buy a ticket. So
Yeah.
So you open the channel, you ask from the universe, abracadabra, create what you speak. You're
Mm,
asking the universe, you're giving the universe the opportunity to bless you. You're giving God the opportunity to bless you because we are blessed, you are blessed. And everybody here who's watching, if you hear somebody, please share this amazing story, an amazing story of going out from survival and from victimhood to thriving and being a warrior versus a soldier.
yeah.
And you can give the lectures probably over Zoom to groups of people, if it's out around the world of people or people in the United States that want to listen. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to Gina, to myself, to Tammy, of course, if you want more contact. And
I'd be
Tammy,
happy
Thank you.
to
thank you
very
so much for your time, and thank you for your gifts, and thank you for sharing your light here. And
Yellow, yellow's
yellow,
big.
yellow.
Yellow, yellow.
much.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
been great. Thank you everybody for watching.
Thank
This is
you.
Abracadabra. Create what you speak. Make magic your life. And Gina Ann, I'm iLan Azoulai with Tammi.
Life is magic. If you know how to make it, it will be true. If you believe in magic.
Believe.
Yes.
I never believed. Today I do.
You gotta believe it's a magic. All right. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll talk.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.